Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and today I'm reviewing the ARL and giving some tips on how to succeed with it. The ARL 44 has very good hull armor, capable of bouncing a lot of shots when angled. The gun options allow for greater customizability. I generally go with the 105, which has very good alpha at 330 when you're shooting premium rounds. The gun depression on the tank allows you to hide much of the tank in battles. The downsides to the tank: it has a very soft turret, that is the weak part of the tank. The aim time is not great, and the reverse speed is limited to 10 kmh. Overall, the ARL 44 is not the strongest tank in the garage, but it's also not necessarily an embarrassment either. As I mentioned before, the tank has several guns to choose from, and you can pick the one which you want. There's the 90mm, which has 212 penetration and 240 average damage, but I'm not a huge fan of that gun. I really enjoy large alpha guns in my games, because that means you have to actually hit less shots, which means less exposure. Less exposure means less overall damage taken, so on and so on and so forth. I think alpha is a big advantage, and so I'm using the 105. The 105 comes with 165 penetration on the base round and 300 average damage. But if you load premium ammo, APCR, then the penetration is somewhere north of 200. I don't really know, because it's way more than you'll need to versus anything you'll face, and it actually gets more average damage at 330. It's one of the few rounds in the game where the gold round deals more damage than the base round, so that's the only reason why I have a full loadout out of APCR. I never do that with any of my tanks. I'm just trying to think, and I'm pretty sure I don't, except this one, because that extra alpha is that important to me. The ARL is a tank that excels when you're at the right place at the right time. And now I know that sounds really stupid, like wouldn't every tank succeed if it was in the right place at the right time? But what I mean by that is the gun has enough penetration to deal with anything that will be in front of it. The alpha is sufficient to make a dent in anything that's in front of you. The mobility is good enough to get you where you need to be, and the gun depression allows you to play on a variety of terrain. So you can see in this replay, I'm just kind of hanging around the middle of the city. I hadn't gone to this location in any of my games before. This is Siegfried Line Encounter, and I generally don't go to that area. Notice that I've taken a lot of damage, and I'm pretty much crippled. That is a definite downside to the tank, that you're just going to take a lot of damage from attrition. This can make carries quite a bit difficult, and the strategy should be to try and conserve hit points as much as possible early in the game. Don't take that strategy too far though. You still do belong near the front lines. It's a tier 6 battle, and I was very near my opponents, because you can trade shots with your opponents because of that alpha, 330 average damage. I can go toe to toe with an easy 8 in a peekaboo war because he's going to die first. The tank side scrapes fairly well, however it has such slow reverse speed that it's difficult to set up a side scrape without your opponent perma-tracking your rear wheel. If they perma-track your rear wheel, that's not all bad, but it also limits you from doing literally anything other than just sitting there and getting shot. The snapshot capability of the tank is also very poor. You can see the aim time here is just not good at all. So leading a push is very difficult because there's really not much armor on the tank. Everybody knows to shoot the turret. Even people who auto-aim are just going to put shots into the turret, which is the weakest spot. That annoys me. But leading a push is poor because of the low armor. It's also poor because you can't snapshot on the move very well. You won't hit your target. It's almost required to stop and aim in full to get a shot to actually land. So for most of your games, you're going to be more of a sniper than anything else. And as the game goes on, if you've conserved hit points, then you can lead a push into the remaining enemies or trade shots with them, relying on the high alpha of your tank. Notice that I haven't really commented too much on the in-game action because there really wasn't anything to say. I've just been hugging walls and there were people in front of me and I traded shots with them and they tended to die first. That's going to be the majority of your games. I do well in the tank, but I'm always surprised when I do. I don't know where my damage comes from or how we win. I just kind of sit around, kind of go near enemies and shoot them. Overall, the ARL 44 is an average tank. At best, it's probably not quite as bad as I've portrayed it to be in the past, but there's no doubt that the tank is not the strongest one out there. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.